There is a coastal town in Canada where surfers ride Pacific waves in the morning and soak in natural hot springs by sunset. The population is 2,000. Tourism websites barely mention it. Locals prefer it that way. This pattern repeats across Canada's coastlines. Towns so beautiful they could charge premium prices, but remain mysteriously affordable. Communities with dramatic ocean access, functioning infrastructure, and locals who quietly hope you drive past on your way to somewhere more famous. We searched Canada's 3 coasts for towns meeting specific criteria: genuine ocean access, stunning natural beauty, populations under 5,000, and locals who respond to tourism questions with careful neutrality rather than enthusiasm. We found 8 coastal communities that rival anything in travel magazines, but remain remarkably undiscovered. Number 8. North Rustico, Prince Edward Island. North Rustico sits on PEI's North Shore. Population roughly 500. The harbor is postcard perfect. Fishing boats rest against wooden wharves. Red sandstone cliffs frame the water. The beach stretches with sand so fine it squeaks. This is Anne of Green Gables country, but North Rustico stays quieter than Cavendish. Tourists drive through heading to the national park. Locals nod politely and continue their business. Average house price, $320,000. A cottage with harbor views sold recently for $295,000. For ocean access on PEI's most beautiful coast, these prices seem impossible. The harbor is working waterfront. Lobster boats depart before dawn. Fish plants process the catch. This is actual fishing village life still functioning. Why it stays hidden? North Rustico sits minutes from Cavendish, which absorbs tourist attention. Visitors assume the famous spot is best. Locals are fine with this. They have the better harbor, quieter beaches, and lower prices. The consideration: PEI is small. North Rustico smaller. Winter means genuine island isolation. Number 7. Twillingate, Newfoundland. Twillingate sits on islands off Newfoundland's northeast coast. Population 2,300. Icebergs drift past in spring. Whales breach offshore. The coastline is dramatically beautiful. Yet most Canadians have never heard of it. The town spreads across islands connected by causeways. The Long Point Lighthouse is one of Newfoundland's most photographed, though fewer photograph it than Signal Hill, because getting here requires commitment. Average house price? $185,000. A 3-bedroom with ocean views sold for $172,000. The value is extraordinary for coastline this spectacular. Iceberg season runs May through July. Massed bergs drift from Greenland, brilliant white against blue water. Humpbacks feed close enough to see without binoculars. Why it stays hidden? Twillingate is genuinely remote. 2.5 hours from St. John's. No nearby airport. Distance filters casual visitors. Locals maintain warm hospitality but do not recruit traffic. The consideration: medical care requires 45 minutes to an hour. Winter is harsh. The islands feel cut off during storms. Number 6. Mahone Bay, Nova Scotia. Mahone Bay sits on Nova Scotia's south shore. Population 1,100. 3 churches along the waterfront create a composition so perfect it appears on tourism posters. Yet the town remains remarkably uncommercial. The bay contains 365 islands. Kayaking means exploring uninhabited islands, beaches accessible only by water, coves that feel undiscovered. Average house price, $385,000. A renovated heritage home sold recently for $368,000. Waterfront properties exist around $450,000. Compared to similar Ontario or BC towns, the value is clear. The town maintained character without becoming precious. Working shops, not gift collections. Restaurants serving locals, not just tourists. Why it stays hidden? Mahone Bay sits between Lunenburg and Halifax. Visitors go to those places and miss what sits between. Locals appreciate the oversight. The consideration: South Shore winters are wet and gray. The ocean brings fog and damp. Summer brings tourists, though fewer than Lunenburg. Number 5. Percé, Quebec. Percé sits at the Gaspé Peninsula's tip. Population 3,200. Percé rock rises offshore, massive limestone with natural arch. Gannets nest on Bonaventure Island by tens of thousands. The landscape seems like geological exaggeration. The town is Francophone Quebec, surrounded by ocean that looks maritime. The cultural mix creates distinct character. Average house price, $245,000. A house with Percé rock views sold for $232,000. Prices reflect remoteness, but deliver access to spectacular coastal settings. Bonaventure Island requires a boat crossing. Walking means passing through gannet colonies so dense the noise overwhelms. Birds nest within arm's reach of trails. Why it stays hidden. Percé is far from everything. Montreal is 800 kilometers away. Anglophones often skip Quebec's coastline entirely, missing dramatic ocean scenery. The consideration: French is essential. Economy is seasonal. Winter is long and isolated. Number 4. Ucluelet, British Columbia. Ucluelet sits on Vancouver Island's west coast. Population 1,700. Pacific Rim National Park sits next door. Beaches are wild. Waves roll from open Pacific. Rainforest grows to beach edge. Everyone knows Tofino. Ucluelet sits 15 kilometers south and stayed quiet. Surfers here refer to Tofino people as tourists. Average house price, $615,000. Ucluelet delivers Tofino's coastline at roughly 60% of Tofino's price. A 2-bedroom sold for $575,000. The wild Pacific Trail runs through old-growth forest. Free, volunteer-maintained, rivaling any coastal hike in North America. Winter storm watching brings waves crashing with enough force to feel through the ground. Why it stays hidden. Ucluelet cultivated working town identity while Tofino became resort town. Ucluelet has fishing boats and processing. Tofino has boutique hotels and yoga. Both have identical ocean access. The consideration: Vancouver Island's west coast is wet. Rain measured in meters. Winter storms are relentless. Number 3. Bonavista, Newfoundland. Bonavista sits on a peninsula jutting into the Atlantic. Population 3,400. Where John Cabot supposedly first landed in 1497. The Cape Bonavista Lighthouse perches on cliffs where whales pass close. The town has historic character without feeling like a museum. Ryan Premises tells fishery history. The Matthew replica docks seasonally. But this is a living town. Average house price, $165,000. A 3-bedroom near harbor sold for $158,000. Historic homes list around $190,000. Prices seem disconnected from coastline quality. Puffins nest on offshore islands visible from the Cape. Whales feed near shore through summer. Icebergs drift past in spring. Why it stays hidden. Bonavista requires commitment. St. John's is 250 kilometers away. The peninsula is genuinely remote. Most never make the drive. The consideration: medical care requires an hour's drive. Winter is harsh. Employment limited. Number 2. Lunenburg, Nova Scotia. Lunenburg is UNESCO designated. The old town is preserved 18th century architecture. Painted houses climb from the harbor. The Bluenose 2 docks here. Yet somehow Lunenburg maintains authenticity. Fishing boats still work from the harbor. Ironworks still builds ships. Residents outnumber tourists outside July and August. Average house price, $425,000. Given UNESCO status and harbor setting, this is remarkable. A historic old townhome sold for $405,000. The waterfront is working waterfront. The Fishery Museum tells real history with real boats. Maritime culture is living tradition, not performance. Why it stays hidden. It is not hidden exactly. But most Canadians still do not visit. The South Shore requires deliberate travel, filtering casual tourism enough to keep the town functional. The consideration: heritage designation means building restrictions. Winter is quiet and gray. Number 1. Tofino, British Columbia. Tofino is famous within BC, but most of Canada never comes here. The town sits on Vancouver Island's west coast, requiring ferry then 3-hour drive through mountains. That distance keeps Tofino remarkably uncrowded. Population 2,200. Long Beach stretches for kilometers. Waves roll from Japan. Rainforest grows massive. The Pacific Rim experience rivals anything worldwide. Average house price, $985,000. Expensive, but consider. Waterfront property with this ocean access, climate moderation, cultural development. Victoria waterfront exceeds this. Vancouver dramatically exceeds this. Tofino delivers wilderness. Victoria and Vancouver cannot. Surfing is legitimate. Storm watching draws international visitors. Cuisine rivals urban centers. Artists, writers, edge-of-continent seekers create culture exceeding what 2200 should support. Why it stays hidden? Only hidden from eastern Canada, which rarely thinks about Vancouver Island's west coast. Nationally, most Canadians never come, keeping it less crowded than comparable beauty elsewhere. The consideration, $985,000 is significant. Wet is relentless. Isolation from Vancouver is genuine. Tofino takes top spot representing hidden in plain sight. Famous enough locally, remote enough nationally, spectacular enough to justify every difficulty. Conclusion: 8 coastal towns. North Rustico to Tofino. Prices $165,000 to $985,000. Each with ocean access rivaling famous destinations. Each remarkably undiscovered.
These towns stay hidden through geography, lack of marketing, and local preference for community over tourism revenue. They offer what expensive destinations offer at prices reflecting actual economies. None are perfect. All require trade-offs. But for those seeking Canadian coastline without crowds and famous destination prices, these 8 prove the best is often overlooked. The only question is whether you are ready to find what locals quietly hope you drive past. Your move.